There was a sort of an accidental theme to the May issue of the Mover magazine. I didn't really intend it this way, it's just the way the stories have fallen. But we've been talking quite a lot of late, over the last year or so, about companies treating each other decently and how really, if you can treat people well, then it's really good for business. And there were two stories that followed this theme, and I say it's just by accident, really. There's an interview that I've done with Arvind Joshi from Clintus, and Arvind started his business in India many years ago, and has always had this sort of attitude that he wanted to treat people well and treat people decently, and has very often had to say no, for example, to contracts when companies have been requiring him to do things he didn't want to do, and he's been very successful in doing it. And the interview, I know you're going to find interesting. It's a great story anyway, but it just has this sort of theme about it, about how treating people well and looking after people pays dividends in the end. And there's another story as well that is totally different, but by coincidence happens to pick up on the same theme, and that's. It's a story about a self-storage company called Hold in the UK. And I did an interview with the boss there who rejoices in an unusual name, Frederick de Rijkman de Betz, who has been around the industry for many, many years and has been, I believe, an ex-chairman of the Self-Storage Association. But he started a new company. And his whole attitude is not so much about how much money can we bring in through this organisation, through this self-storage company, for the least effort, in effect, which seems to be the way in which the industry goes. It's more about customer service and about providing the customers with what they want, and how, again, if you do the right thing, that comes back in the form of revenue for you. So do read that story as well. And so both of them pick up on this theme, and it complements a theme that we've been talking about for some time. So I urge you to read both of those stories. Lots more in the magazine as well, of course. There's another story about selling, which is talking about selling value and selling a differential, and we're going to pick up on that theme again a bit later on in the year. And the cover story is a bit of an unusual one. I've called it the Timber Trap, and it's about the treatment of timber for packing that's coming out of Africa, and there are very few apparently treatment services there for timber for it to be treated appropriately to go into shipping containers. And so some of the companies over there have just made up their own stamps and they're stamping the timber anyway and pretending that it's that way. And the whole problem has been brought to my attention by Move One, who are trying to do the right thing and going to great lengths to do the right thing. And of course they feel as if they're being to some extent penalised for it, because they're having to bear the costs of it when other companies are not. And of course the problem is that when the container gets to the other end, wherever it may be going, the authorities are very keen on this kind of thing and they will pick up on it. And if they do and they find it, then they very quickly send the container back from whence it came, at great expense and embarrassment to everybody. So it's a very good idea to not do that kind of thing. Anyway, the story is all about that. And so if you are in Africa and shipping goods from there, or if you are receiving goods from Africa, I urge you to read the story. It's our cover story this month. Lots of other things. We've got the Atlas survey, which came up with all kinds of interesting things, including, I'm just going to read this, 75% of corporations would get lump sum would give lump sum contracts to a sole provider if they could be done at the same price as the original contract, which I thought was kind of interesting, that they provide, rather than just simply give the money to the client or to the assignee, I say they are, go and do your own thing, look it up on Google. They're actually prepared to have a contract with a sole provider for it. So interesting one, but there's lots of other interesting stuff in there too. And we will also next month be having more of a look at that survey and analysing it in more detail. And there's also another one that it's got a very prosaic title, but it's interesting. I think it's called Google Consent V2, Mode V2. And that is all about, that we've all got to get consent from people on our websites to accept our cookies. Well, it's the new version of that, and it's important that you do it. And it's important that you make sure that your websites are up to date. And the story's all about that. And there are penalties if you don't do it. So check that one out too. Lots more in the magazine. Hope you enjoy it. I'll see you next time.